Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Brewing with Jim.
We're back, and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you
We're here again.
Are here, yes.
How did this happen? We're back.
It happens because we plan it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Folks, my name is Joseph Jasper. I'm a co-host. I'm the one that asks the questions to this man sitting across from me, Mr. Jim Brewington.
Here I am.
Welcome back, Jim.
Oh, I love being here.
Always a pleasure.
I like being here. Yeah. It is a pleasure.
We literally could not do it without you.
Well, I wouldn't want to do it without you.
Yeah.
And there would be no reason to do it if we didn't have the listeners.
That's right. And I don't want to call the show Brewing With. That's just a bad name. So we need Jim here. So this is a show. If you don't know, if this is the first time listening, welcome. Anyway, this is a show where we get audience questions about life, and we just try to offer some wisdom and insight into them. Jim, our question today is...
Well, wait a minute. Let me interrupt you if I could.
Yes.
We get the audience questions anonymously.
Yeah.
And we don't know who is sending the question to us, and we do that on purpose.
Yes.
Joseph and I both work as faculty in a high school, and it has come to my realization that teenagers especially, or students, don't have anywhere to go to anonymously ask a question.
Sure.
They can't, that not with their pastor, that's not anonymous. Not with their parents, that's not anonymous. Not with, and this forum, this podcast provides a place where they can anonymously submit questions.
Absolutely. Originally, this podcast started specifically as a resource for our campus.
Yes.
It has since branched out and become much more than that, which has been awesome to see.
Our branched out in over 35 countries.
I know. International,
yes.
Which is amazing. World famous.
Well, not famous.
No, we can't. We got to get to a question. This is a question that I feel like every adult asks themselves, not only at some point, but maybe even constantly. The classic question, Jim, how do you balance your work life with your personal life?
Oh, wow.
Unanswerable, can I just say? Not literally, but no,
it's not unanswerable.
It's not.
I'm going to answer it.
Yeah.
It depends upon what the work life is like.
Yeah.
There are some people who have a job. They are contracted either in writing or orally contracted to be at work at a particular time to a particular time.
Yes.
That's pretty understandable. It's pretty standard. There may be some overtime requested, and but the rest of the time you just go home and there is your home life.
That's right.
And there is an inset, constructed balance that's there. Now, some of us have duties at work that are variable.
That's right.
And we don't know all the time how much work we're going to be doing, how many hours we're going to be putting in. Some people are on call. As you know, I am a pastor and have worked in churches. I did that for 42 years. We're on call.
That's right.
If somebody is in the hospital and they want us there, do we have to go immediately? Not necessarily, but sometimes yes.
Yeah.
We do have to go.
Depends on their condition.
It depends on what's going on. It depends on their need. And we know our sheep, and so we know what kind of emotional needs they have, spiritual needs they may have. And if a person has a personal pastor, and I believe all people should have a personal pastor, although in parentheses I'll say I'm ashamed that many people do not have personal pastors, and almost always pastors don't have pastors.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
If there is the ideal situation where you have a personal pastor and this person knows you and knows your voice, and you're on first-name basis with both of you are on a first-name basis with each other, then you want to be at the hospital in the emergency room. If you want to be next to the gurney as all this is happening, because you are a comfort and an encourager, perhaps, or you just are there, and the ministry of presence is important. Okay, now I have a priority in my life. My priority is family, but urgency always trumps priority.
Yes.
So here I am with my family having dinner, and I get a call, and it's urgent. Then I respond to the urgency.
Absolutely.
Does that mean my family is not a priority? No, it does not mean that.
That's right.
But it's important that the family knows, the wife, my wife especially, she always knew, that this call could come in. It's part of my life. It's part of what I do.
That's right.
Now, there could be a situation where a guy has a job, and his job requires that he travel 1 week out of the month.
Sure.
And he's going to be gone that 1 week. Make sure everyone understands that.
Yes.
That I'm not abandoning anybody. I am going to be gone this 1 week out of every single month. Just know it. That happens with people in the military who may be gone 6 months on a deployment.
Absolutely.
And the wife needs to know that, the husband too, because there are women in the military.
That's right.
I don't mean to default to
male
only,
of course.
but so we have this, I think, an openness about when I am going to be home, when I am not going to be home.
Yeah.
And when that's understood, it's not a surprise that Dad's gone.
Absolutely. And when I'm on call, that kind of thing.
Oh, especially when I'm on call and I have to. Now, being on call as a pastor doesn't mean that you jump at every single request.
Yeah.
I remember, this is real experience. I was one night having dinner and the phone rang, and it was somebody in the church who said, well, the Bible says that if you're ill, call for the elders and they will come and pray with you. Sure. And I'm ill, so can you come right now? And my answer was no. I'm not going right now.
Yeah.
Yes, I will pray with you. I'll even pray with you right now on the phone.
Sure.
But I am not going to call all the elders and come over right now. The situation wasn't dire enough to do that. Somebody's in the hospital and they're on their deathbed and they're scared and they're lonely, and then yes, I will go right now.
Yes.
You see the difference in that?
Absolutely.
That has to be analyzed. That has to be thought out with some wisdom.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just become the marionette of the people around you.
Of course. That makes total sense. Yeah.
So I balance my home life and my work life by informing everybody what's going to happen and what my job requires.
Yeah.
Now, it's possible that a person can leave work, go home, and still not be with their family.
Yeah.
They're just in there. They're watching television, or they're reading, or they're elsewhere. And the body is sitting there, but there's no interaction with the family members.
Yeah.
That, I think, is out of balance as well.
Yeah. I think it's key. In the back of my head, a thought I have is there are jobs that are easier to put on a shelf when you go home than others.
Yes.
There are jobs where, like you mentioned, you are on call. When you were a pastor, you're on call 24/7. You could get that. I'm sure you've gotten phone calls in the middle of a night.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Whereas there are jobs where that is just fundamentally not an expectation.
That's correct.
If you are stocking shelves at Albertsons during the day, you go home at night and you, I think, generally can leave work at work.
Definitely.
Right. And so for a large swath of people, this might not be a question at all. If not, it's not as much of a question. And then there's on the other end of the spectrum, there are jobs where it really is fundamentally it's who you are, and you're fully wrapped up in it, or at least could be fully wrapped up in it.
Yes.
My experience has only been that of a teacher. And I can speak from an educator's perspective. Teaching is a job that can suck in the rest of your life or the rest of your time.
Yes.
Because of lesson planning. The time it takes
and
to plan lessons. Yeah, grading is another big one. We get, relatively shorter work days when you break down the hours. We get shorter years when you include summer break and all that kind of stuff. But, typically we're working, 9 to 5. Maybe that slots down to 7 to 3, something like that, right? But generally speaking, every teacher I know is working after hours almost every day.
I was naive before I was teaching in a school situation. I've been teaching all my life.
Yes.
But I was teaching adults, and I could set up class times, and
Yeah.
I was naive about how hard this job is.
Yeah.
And people view it outside of the job, looking in, well, you have all these days off. You get a week off for President's Day.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And you have all summer off when we really don't. We have 2 months.
It's about 8
weeks.
9 weeks.
Yeah. So we have, but any job that requires thinking is that's not going to be turned off when you go away from the job.
It's not, yeah.
Now, I do have a self-imposed rule for myself. I don't take papers home to grade. I don't grade anything
very good rule.
at home. And the students know it. Well, the students have told me you're the fastest grader there is in the school. Well, the reason is I get it all done the same day the quiz is turned in or whatever the assignment is. But we have semester projects. They turn in the semester projects. I tell them, this takes a long time to grade, and I don't do it at home.
Yeah.
I will be grading these, and you'll have grades posted in 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So those don't take it home if you can, but if a lot of your job is created in your head and you have things to think about and students to think about even, that doesn't stop just when you walk out off the campus.
Absolutely.
It does not.
I think some practical advice to boil it down to like brass tacks, right? Like I would say if you have a job that you are frequently taking home, using air quotes, some things to keep in mind. Number one, communication with your family.
Yes.
They should be aware of, if you walk in, I'll admit I do this all the time to my poor wife. I walk in when I get home from work and, I'm exhausted from a long days of work and I've got more that I kind of need to do before I fully settle in for the night. She's exhausted from watching the kids all day. And it just we just get thrown at each other of like, finally. And there's missed expectations though, because I'm hoping to still nail things down. She's hoping to throw 2 children at me and, lay down, and
Figuratively speaking.
Sometimes.
No.
Anyway, this is on me. Sometimes my lack of communication of, hey, I need to do something for work and it's pretty urgent. If I can just get some time and knock it out, then I can be fully present. If I just said those, 2 sentences, if I could just have a recorder where I press play and those 2 sentences come out, the benefits to my marriage would be substantial. Anyway, communication is key. Planning ahead with whatever you can is key. Your no grading at home policy is a great example of this. But I would even say, if I look ahead on the calendar and I see, we have open house, or we have, there's a
function we must attend.
A function that we must attend. Emily, my wife's name, Emily, hey, Tuesday night in like 3 weeks, I cannot be home. Let's work. Let's work ahead. Right, that kind of thing. Communicating that ahead of time is clear. And the inverse is also true. If I need to be at a family function and I can't be at work, there's communication that should happen at work ahead of time. Anyway, prioritizing family is key to me, though. I heard this advice, and this is probably advice that many people have said and many people have heard. But the idea is basically that if you put your family first and you prioritize that your family and your home is just kind of in order as much as you can make it, that work will be okay.
It will be.
Work will
a lot of us
work
have
will just be okay.
a big head. This place can't work. Can't
Yeah.
operate without me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can.
And the inverse is not true. That if I prioritize and make sure work is okay, that my family's going to just kind of be there as a soft landing spot. Like that's the equation that's not guaranteed.
True.
Prioritizing the family. Yeah.
The idea is that I have this job and I have to do this job, and my family has to adjust.
That's right.
Change that. The job can adjust.
I can speak from experience on this, even in recent times, because I just went on paternity leave for 2 weeks.
Right.
I came back for 1 week, and then we had President's Day break. And then when we came back from President's Day break, I was at a conference for that week. So I
went to Florida.
I missed 4 out of 5 weeks of school.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't explain the amount of stress I had leading up to that time of like, oh, these things are going to happen. What am I going to do?
And you know what? The building's still here.
Right?
The students are still here.
I got in after all of that happened. I got in my first day back from all of that. My first day of like normalcy, let's call it, was a little more coming up on like 2 weeks ago. And I can't tell you the feeling of walking into my office, sitting at my desk, and if you had taken a poll like 20 minutes into my day of like, how are you feeling today? Remarkably normal. The place is the same place. Mm-hmm. Nobody died. Nobody no programs got axed. No programs got invented. No.
So you're saying that the place made it through?
It made it through my absence.
It made it
just
through.
Fine.
Yeah. There is one other principle that I think that we need to keep in mind, and that is a biblical principle that we are to have a day off every week.
Yes.
And that day off means that we rest, that we spend spiritual time with our Lord, but we also push our job away. For that one day. It can be any day according to Colossians. It doesn't have to be sunset
Sunday,
on Friday to sunset on Saturday. But and there are some people who think now the Christian Sabbath is Sunday. It's not. Mm-hmm. That's why we call it the Lord's Day and not. Okay. I, as you know, because I've said it before, have didn't understand that for a big part of my life.
That's right.
Now I understand it, and that's the priority too. But it's the work I push away. Yeah. I don't really push the family away.
Absolutely.
I spend time with the family. So anyway, that's part of making this decision about balancing between work and
Absolutely.
home.
And I think it's worth mentioning too, there might be I think any person that asks this question of how do I balance work and life is somewhere between 0 and 100%, greater than 0% of the way towards needing a new job. It might be a very low percentage, but this question might be a symptom, depending on the severity of this imbalance, depending on how much your work takes you away from home and your family and your Sabbath.
Well, it's possible the work takes us away more than our boss really needs to have happen.
That's totally a separate issue.
Go to him. Go to her.
Totally.
I've been a boss most of my life.
Yeah.
Somebody comes to me and says, I am really out of whack here. I'm spending so much time here. My marriage is suffering. I will adjust to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's absolutely true. A little bit of a different thing than what I'm thinking of in the sense of, let's say that the job requirements are just overwhelmingly demanding. Maybe it is not a job that I don't want to say that you're cut out for. That makes it sound like you are deficient. But maybe it's a job that just doesn't fit with your life.
Or get some help.
Right. Or get some
delegate some of this stuff.
Right.
There's the attitude that nobody can do this as well as I can. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, then it doesn't have to be done that well.
That's right.
There's a good enough principle.
Yes.
And people shun away from me when I talk about that.
Sure.
And it wasn't my idea. I got it from somebody wiser than I am. But there is the good enough principle. Everything doesn't have to be excellent.
Right.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be good enough.
Yeah.
And somebody else can be good enough to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so much here. There's a lot that's relatable. There's and again, as a teacher especially, this is perpetually a question, or at least it ebbs and it flows, and it'll never go away. I think it just takes a good perspective of prioritizing family, prioritizing the home life.
With the understanding that urgency will trump the priority.
Yeah.
That doesn't change the priority.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
okay,
right.
good.
Yeah, I love it.
That's it.
I think that's a good place to leave off. Let's get to our second segment here. This is a little bit of a two-part question. I think I might know the answer to this, but I'll let you shoot with it. If you had to move to another state in the country tomorrow, pack up everything. We're leaving. You have to go to another state. What state would it be and why? And then the second part of the question is identical, but it's country instead of state.
Oh, my goodness. Well, the part of the question I don't like is tomorrow. I can't get everything packed tomorrow.
Okay, let's say as soon as reasonably possible.
Okay,
let's say next month.
Well, I've lived in 7 different states, and I've been in all of them.
Yeah.
So I have some knowledge of what they are all like.
Yeah.
But I lived in Hawaii for 7 years. Mm-hmm. I probably would not want to go back to Hawaii, although I enjoy the beauty. I enjoy the weather for the most part. It's very humid sometimes. Mm-hmm. I forced into a decision about which state. Maybe Colorado. I've already lived in Colorado.
It's beautiful, yeah.
The mountains. I cannot look at mountains without thinking about the creator of the mountains.
Oh, yes.
And it's not that the mountains are so beautiful, it's that the mountains are so interesting.
It's the scale of it, yeah.
The beauty of the mountains to me is the interesting. The gray and the white snow is not what I would consider beauty. But nevertheless, I would not choose a place because I like the politics of the state.
Yeah.
That
I agree.
has no effect on me at all. If I disagree with the politics, then that state needs me as a voter, so we can get rid of those politics.
There you go.
Okay. Okay.
That's true. That's a good perspective, yeah.
I would probably not pick a state with extreme weather conditions.
Yeah.
Minnesota is beautiful. It's very cold. North Dakota, oh my gosh. The governor closes the state sometimes in the winter, and people are forbidden from going outside.
And has to turn away 3 entire people.
But I think it would be fun to have a house on the rocky cliffs of Maine where I can picture lots of wood and a big library and a fireplace.
Oh, beautiful.
And hearing the crashing on the rocks down below. And that I could live with.
Absolutely.
I could do that.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
I would pick a state that is not trendy. Now, a lot of people are leaving California. They're leaving in droves. California even lost a member in the House of Representatives because the population has decreased in California.
That's right.
Very expensive to live here.
Yeah, cost of living is insane, yeah.
Where did those people go? First of all, they went to Texas. Mm-hmm. There was a train of people going to Texas, not a literal train, but people going to Texas. And when they got there, in droves, the prices went up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then Idaho.
Yep.
And people were going to Idaho.
Shout out Grady Sanchez,
and then,
former co-host.
Exactly. And then the Carolinas became very, very popular. And then Tennessee did.
Yes.
Okay. I would not go to one of those states because there was that trend.
Yeah.
Because it was fashionable. To do that right
Absolutely.
then. I'm not sure I'd move back to Texas, even though I'm a Texan.
Sure.
I was born in Texas. I grew up in Texas, different cities, but I am not attracted to Texas. But Texas has a lot of attractive features. The people, especially. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, they're stranger friendly. Everybody is friendly.
Yeah.
It has the same number percentage-wise of jerks as anybody else.
Yeah.
Every place has
Of
that.
course, yeah.
The solidarity of the relationships in the Midwest, especially the upper Midwest, which I think is influenced by the immigration
Sure.
of Swedish people there and Scandinavian people
Yeah.
who are tight in relationships. I don't know. You said the question to me. You stated the question and then you said tomorrow. I don't know, but there's the non-answer. I'm
Sure.
not sure where I would go. I would probably not go to Texas. I would not go to Upper Midwest again. I'm not sure. I don't want to live in Hurricane or Tornado Alley.
No.
I
Yeah.
have lived in Tornado Alley, and that's in the Midwest, goes into Texas and
Yeah.
into the southeast part of the United States.
Yeah.
I don't like that threat.
That's scary.
There are some places regarding the weather where people die in the summer because it's so hot. They die in the winter because it's so cold.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those are kind of extreme. But there's a non-answer.
I love it.
There's a lot of talk, and
Yeah.
I didn't come to a conclusion.
That's okay. That's okay.
I have found beauty in every state I have been in, and the beauty is not necessarily geophysical. The beauty is the people.
Yes.
In the states, I have found beauty in the people of every state, and they're very different.
Yeah.
Very different.
Amazing.
Okay.
The second part of that question, if you still
the
want to,
country.
if you want to take the time to do it,
No, I don't want to live in another country.
Sure.
I think the United States is the greatest country on earth.
Sure.
And it is as flawed as any place else. I have been in several countries.
Yeah.
I have no desire to live anywhere else.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy here.
Yeah.
I like the way that we run this country. I don't like all the decisions that are made about how to run the country.
Sure.
But they come and go.
Sure.
And
they do.
we have presidents of various popularities from time to time, and there are people who say, well, if this person is elected president, the democracy is over with, the country's over with. That's not true. This country is so strong because of the three branches of government that we have survived horrible presidents. We have benefited from really good presidents. So that doesn't influence me
Sure.
at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I'm trying to think of, for myself here, I just think with states, I have so much familiarity with Iowa, having gone to Dort, and I think that would just be my default choice. But if I wanted
Iowa?
Yeah.
Well, I lived in Des Moines, you know.
Yeah.
I went to the University of Iowa
That's
in
right.
Iowa City.
Yeah. I just have a heart for Iowa, and I could slot right back in there and know what to do and just kind of enjoy the quiet, For geophysical reasons, I would probably look towards a place like Washington or Oregon. Pacific Northwest is beautiful. to
Beautiful
me.
states.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, plenty of options.
If you
right?
like the rain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Every state has something wrong with it.
Yes.
Or something unattractive about
Absolutely.
it. Let me say it that way.
Yes.
And every state, except for a couple I can think of, have something that is attractive
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
No, I could back that up and say every state has something
Yes.
that would draw people to it.
Yes, it does. Let's wrap this thing up. This has been fun. This has been another episode of Brewing with Jim. And to our audience, we want to extend an invitation, as always, to email us.
Yes.
brewingwithjim@gmail.com is set up for you to ask your questions.
Right.
So let us know where you're listening from. Tell us your story, anything like that. Again, that's brewingwithjim@gmail.com.
Write to us and tell us what state you live in and why you like it.
There you go. Tell us why we should move to your state if we're
That
ever,
would be fun.
If we're ever put in a situation. Yeah, I know. That's hilarious.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Well,
Thank
no,
you.
I was serious.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah,
no, I know.
okay.
But I think the not serious part is the scenario where you have to move tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a little hectic.
No, we would seriously love to hear what you love about where you live.
That would be
That'd
fun.
beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all very much. We will be back next week with another episode. But until then, have a great week, everybody.
Take care.
The topics that are covered and the answers that are offered during episodes of Brewing with Jim are designed to mine the wisdom attained from a life of pastoral ministry and care. They do not constitute professional or clinical training or expertise in the areas of counseling or mental health. CVCS and its podcast network want to provide a platform for the discipleship of our community. Brewing with Jim is our attempt to foster that environment in a format that is accessible for everyone to participate in. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed during the show are the speaker's own, and they may or may not represent the views, thoughts, or opinions of Capistrano Valley Christian Schools or its faculty. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. Capistrano Valley Christian Schools is a Christian JK through 12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Be sure to check out, subscribe to, and leave a review of this show and the other shows on our network on your podcast player of choice. Doing so supports the school community in a multitude of ways. For more information about the CVCS Podcast Network or any of our other shows, check out cvcs.org or email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the whole network, this is Mr. Jasper saying thank you again for listening and stay tuned for more.